So the next remaining episode is too, I mean, so sad, so tragic. It's difficult for me to discuss it. What happened was the greatest tragedy in the history of Islam after Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu period when he was ill-treated. Of course, that was the greatest tragedy. But after that, this is the most unfortunate episode. So we should pray for the departed souls, who should highlight their character and strength in weakness, the manlyhood with which they stood their grounds and did not bow to an authority sacrificing their principles. This is the best homage that we can pay to their memory, and this is the lesson we should draw from this. But otherwise, as I have attempted, I think the confusion has to be sorted out and clarified. And another proof that they also understood this problem clearly is that if they thought it was an invasion of their territory, then they should have hit back at their territory that was controlled by Hazrat Ali. They should have invaded their territory, and Mecca and Medina should have been, completely laid low with their might. It was not like that. They destroyed them, and in fact with that, the spiritual leadership which was rising was, unfortunately brought to an unfortunate, immature end. And that is why this confusion resulted in only one territorial reign. That was Muawiyah's reign afterwards. And Mecca and Medina, etc., and all the areas surrounding them, the main land of Hijaz, etc., they also fell to the territory of the Syrian rule because of this mistake. So unfortunately, these are the lessons we should draw. The holy people should not be duped by, this is their right to rule spiritually, but this is also the responsibility to see through the game of the enemy and not to fall into the trap of the enemies. You see, this is a very big damage done to Khilafah, because after that Khilafah comes to an end. And the political power is also lost, and the spiritual power is also lost, and confusion is created, and a very big damage is done to Islam and its progress all over the world. You see, they should have drawn their lesson from Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. Hazrat Ali was not only spiritually at very high status, but he was one of the wisest people of the time of Muhammad Rasulullah. He never jeopardized his spiritual Khilafat for the sake of some territory of Syria, etc. He didn't care. People, pressed him for invading them and come to fight and so on and so forth. He refused. Now, some people think it was a mistake. I think it was the greatest act of his wisdom. He knew where the greatness of Khilafat lay. It lay not in territorial rule, but in the spiritual rule. So he happened to command both the territory of that area and also the spirits of all the Muslims, according to me, of the whole world. So he didn't dispute the issue of territorial occupation by Muawiyah or some others. Had he considered it to be a real threat to Khilafah, had he really believed that it was the Khilafah which got split and his Khilafat is taken away, I doubt if Hazrat Ali should have stopped short of invading Muawiyah and punishing him. So he understood it to be a territorial thing. He said, under Islam, there can be territorial rules here and there. So Hazrat Imam Hussain and the family were duped by the people of Iraq, and they should have followed the Sunnah of Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu and should have understood. But as I say, to begin with, I believe that they did not invade. They were duped. But then war was imposed on them. But because they were duped to go into another territory, That was the mistake, only mistake I believe. They committed, and Hazrat Ali would never have done that. I'm 100% certain. He would never have done that. The result, we paid dearly. The whole world of Islam paid dearly for this small mistake. You see, and then the conduct or sunnah of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam also threw ample light on this issue. When Musaylama Kazzab approached Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam and wanted a division of his khilafah between him and Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam, imagine, no question, whatever may happen. Not a jot, not a dot of khilafah will be shared by anybody else. This is the true khilafah. They should have drawn their lesson from that. That is why I say Hazrat Ali did not commit a single mistake. Absolutely right, because he understood Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam better than anybody else in the world. He understood the meaning of being Khalifatullah. And because he was his Khalifa, so he knew his position. Muawiyah could not take a jot of his Khilafah by ruling a territory, because the whole world was ruled by other kings, and their rule could not take a jot of his Khilafah. So how could Muawiyah's rule in a territory in any way deprive him of his supreme position in Islam as Khalifatul Rasul? So that is what the confusion of the time, unfortunately, deprived people of the period to understand. Things were confused. Now we look back. In the backlight, we see history very clear. But when you're involved in a game, then you don't see that clearly. So it's no fault of theirs either, in fact. Unfortunate times, unfortunate fogs of the situation. That did not permit them to see clearly. I give you an example. When you are watching a football match from outside, even if you don't know how to kick, you say, oh, what a mistake he has committed, He should have done this. You see all the mistakes being committed by the champions of the game. And even the greatest champion, he commits, no, you see, he made a mistake. And in tennis, in every game. And if you tell him to come into the field, he can't even kick. So that is how it happens with historians. Historians are people of the later period, like we are, looking back. It's not a great credit to us that we say, oh, they should have done this, they should have done that. When you're involved and the pressure of the events is upon you, then your vision is befogged. You can't see that clearly as we can now. So that is why you should say ultimately, last thing, he is to be blamed, he is to be blamed. Let's leave that to God and say Allah is the best judge, but what happened was very tragic. Most tragic. It shouldn't have happened. Allah bless the souls of the martyrs.